smell weakness. No one escapes!
When you consider the restrictions put on PS4 modding, some of the quest mods that are available for Skyrim are nothing short of incredible. Unfortunately, there is no way to add custom dialogue or scripting, so there is no real way for PS4 modders to make an actual in-game quest that shows in your journal with quest markers. This means that most of the quest mods on PS4 are dungeon mods and new locations that rely heavily on exploration and occasionally on stories told through journals and notes, which when done right can be very rewarding. Of course, you could never make an entire game where all of the story is told through just journals and notes. That would be ridiculous.
Bruh.
Despite these restrictions, modders have spent hundreds of hours creating awesome content for us to use for free that adds hours of enjoyment to Skyrim. If you want to see more videos showing off the best mods for Skyrim on PS4, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. With all that said, let's get started and check out the mods. First up at number 5 we have Sea of Ghosts by 13 Oranges. This mod aims to make the Sea of Ghosts live up to its reputation as a violent and bloody sea full of undesirables by adding some small island locations for you to explore. The mod's description says, "The Sea of Ghosts are the cold and dangerous waters on the northern coast of Tamriel. Among the mists and fog lie many secrets, treasures and stories long since forgotten. Travel these dangerous waters in the new PS4 Explorers edition of this plugin, exploring many new locations throughout the Sea of Ghosts." It's easy to see why this mod made it into PC Gamer magazine and GameSpot's top 5 Skyrim mods, as well as this very video, because the locations added by the mod feature interesting new factions, stories and dungeons for you to discover. My personal favourite location was a small island which was previously inhabited by Telvanni wizards studying a strange source of magic. But when you get there, a group of Argonians called the Anzalil, who were largely responsible for the Argonian invasion and subsequent occupation of southern Morrowind, have taken over the island and murdered most of the Telvanni. You learn more about this conflict by exploring the island, reading the various notes and journals, and exploring the underground cavern. There's also an ancient Blades headquarters inhabited by skeletons that were once members of the Blades, protecting what's left of the island from looters. The reason this mod isn't higher up on this list is that the PS4 version of this mod is a stripped down version featuring the same environments but without bespoke functionality and NPCs, as those are not possible on PS4, which means the mod is not as good as it should be and misses some key features. For example, the functionality of hiring a ship with a crew could not be included. Instead, to explore the Sea of Ghosts, you have to fast travel to the locations via the world map, which is fine, but it means you lose some of the immersion and you won't be able to visit these locations if you are using the survival mode creation. However, there is nothing the mod author can do about these restrictions, and I'm just grateful that 13 Oranges ported this mod over for PS4 users to enjoy, because it adds a few hours of brilliant lore-friendly content for us to enjoy. Next up at number 4 is Dragon Under Whiterun by Brendan Fitzgerald and uploaded to Bethesda.net by Celtic Conundrum. This is a dungeon mod that is incredibly well designed and has a very interesting backstory behind it. The mod description says, "Dragon Under Whiterun is a single quest that takes the Dragonborn under Whiterun in search of a treasure that legends say is guarded by a dragon. The legends apparently do not have the whole story." The mod features a brand new quest, a story that ties into the existing lore, as well as introducing some new ideas, 3 new levels, roughly 1 to 2 hours of gameplay depending on the level of exploration and the character class, new books, journals and notes to create the narrative, a new armor item, and some experiences you haven't had in Skyrim yet. To start the Dragon Under Whiterun quest, you need to go to High Hrothgar and find and read a book titled Dragon Under Whiterun. Upon entering High Hrothgar, take the first alcove on the right and there will be a hallway connected to it leading further to the right. The book is located at the end of the hallway on a table under the lit sconce with a light. It's just outside of the Greybeard's meeting room with the big table. The loot is intentionally generous as it was created to reward players who were still playing Skyrim when Fallout 4 released. If becoming overpowered at an early stage is a concern, then you might want to hold off on this quest until later in the game. Also, followers will not be able to follow you on this quest. This mod was a blast to play through, introducing some really interesting story content and an absolutely massive dungeon with some really unique enemies in the form of Dragonians, which seem to be Argonians that have the ability to use shouts. It starts off with a really creative and unique water section, which if you are an Argonian would be easy for you, but for any other race it will be challenging but a lot of fun to get through. The mod then continues to impress throughout with some stunning design and ends with an epic boss fight against a dragon trapped in a cave, as I'm sure you would have worked out from the name of the mod. If you're looking for a fun hour of gameplay, go ahead and download this mod. Next up at number 3 on this top 5 list is Delves of the Stone Legion by Untitled_0110. Delves of the Stone Legion adds a brand new dungeon to explore in the form of a dwarven ruin called Durkoldur, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which can be found just north of Solitude. According to the mod's description, the story behind the dungeon is: the ancient stone city is home to many evils that no man should endure, yet the legends and tales haven't scared a group of bandits calling themselves the Stone Legion who have taken up residence in the upper levels of the city. They're fearless fighters and deadly assailants. However, the looming darkness of this city hasn't left them untouched. Their leader, Kvenska, has become corrupted by the ancient dwarven magic, causing chaos and destruction in his wake. Your task is to travel to the old dungeon, wipe out the Stone Legion, put a stop to their chaos caused by Kvenska, and find the mysterious Aetherius Forge. The dungeon takes around an hour to complete and is full of dwarven contraptions, bandits and Falmer to kill, as well as a few puzzles to complete. There is some really impressive and innovative design on show in this dungeon, and it's incredibly well made. To be honest, it's better than most of the Dwarven Ruin dungeons in the vanilla game created by Bethesda themselves. This mod was developed from the ground up for the special edition. As a result of this, the dungeon this mod adds has a large amount of its development focus on detail through models and visual effects. It's not an easy dungeon, so you may want to reach a decent level before you attempt to explore it. However, the challenge is worth it because at the end you are rewarded with a choice of 2 unique weapons and a unique ring, which adds 2 brand new spells. One of the rewards is an enchanted dwarven mace, which features a very powerful enchantment that gives you 50% chance for each attribute to absorb 25 points of health, stamina and or magicka. The other is a unique crossbow with an enchantment that forces its victims to become ethereal, paralysing them for 10 seconds and causing fear for another few seconds. It even has a unique circle of ethereal glow floating in front of the crossbow, which I assume the bolts travel through, and that's what makes the bolts cause the paralysis. Just be warned that both of these enchantments run out of charge incredibly quickly, so use them sparingly, or just make sure you are carrying a boatload of soul gems. The 2 new spells added are a conjuration spell that allows you to conjure a dwarven sphere, and a destruction spell called the Bane of the Automatons, which deals 50 damage per second whilst draining 10 points of health from automatons. These rewards are really well thought out and elevate this dungeon mod into something really special and well deserving of a space on this top 5 list. I had a lot of fun making my way through this dungeon, and I think you will too. Give it a download. The penultimate mod on this top 5 list is the Midden expanded by Easy Rider. The purpose of this mod is to fulfill the potential of the Midden. The Midden is the creepy underground tunnels that can be found underneath the College of Winterhold, which in my opinion were wasted by Bethesda as they could have been so much more. This mod rectifies this error and then some by creating an incredible looking dungeon with some really interesting story and unique enemies to discover. The mod asks you to uncover the secret history of the College of Winterhold through new quests and adventures. It's lore friendly and carefully integrated into existing areas, characters and histories. The gameplay is challenging and takes about 2 hours to complete. The mod rewards exploration, puzzle solving and determination especially. It even adds new balanced weapons and armour, and it's fully nav meshed, optimised and hand cleaned with TES 5 edit. If you want, you can use one of the areas added by the mod as a player home, as it adds safe storage and features all of the crafting utilities you need. It's not particularly easy to get to, but if you're playing an evil necromancer or something like that, it would be perfect, as it could work as a hidden base for someone that dabbles in nefarious magic. The puzzles and stories added by this mod are fantastic, and I found myself getting really into the story and was really determined to discover everything that could be found in the midden. I found it really challenging, but in the end it was worth it. Not because you get an amazing reward for completing the quest, because the reward is just a few measly gold bars, but because the experience of solving the puzzles and exploring the midden was just fun, and one of the best experiences I've had in Skyrim in a long time. This mod is a masterpiece, and in my opinion is one of the most underrated mods for Skyrim, especially on PS4. It was so close to being the #1 mod on this list, but unfortunately, due to the limitations on PS4 modding, the mod just isn't as complete as it should be, and the #1 mod on this list is probably the best mod for Skyrim on PS4 period, so it's got some pretty tough competition. And finally, the best quest mod for Skyrim on PS4 is Forgotten Dungeons by Juhantero68. Forgotten Dungeons is a ginormous mod that adds 55 new dungeons to Skyrim, 44 of which are Radiant Quest enabled, which means that when you are sent to a random location for a quest, it's possible you could be sent to one of these awesome new dungeons. You might think that with a ridiculous 55 new dungeons, there is no way that all of the dungeons could be that good, but they are. I explored a dungeon called Forgotten Tomb south of Morthal. The dungeon was a classic ancient Nord crypt, however it turned out to be a maze full of dangerous traps such as flamethrowers, igniting pools of flammable liquid, a floor trap meant to propel adventurers into ceiling spikes, wooden rams, deadly toxic gas that you had to go through to reach a switch to open a door, and more. The dungeon was difficult to navigate thanks to multiple pathways, some blocked off, which meant that you had to turn back and find out if one of the other pathways led to a switch that would open the door that was blocking the path forward to the next stage. It all made for a unique and challenging experience that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was just one of the 55 dungeons added by this mod. One of the best ways to play Skyrim is to just explore the map and discover different locations and dungeons, and this mod dramatically enhances that experience by adding a crazy amount of new dungeons for you to explore and discover their stories and loot to the riches they contain. A ridiculous amount of time and effort must have gone into making every one of these dungeons a unique and enjoyable experience, and if you're playing Skyrim on PS4, do yourself a favour and make sure you download this mod. I promise you will not regret it, and it will stay in your load order permanently. That will take us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Comments letting me know if you're going to download any of these mods, and if you want to see more videos showing off the best mods for Skyrim on PS4, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Also, if you want to support me and help me make more and better videos, consider supporting me on Patreon. I really would appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. May Talos guide you, friends.